Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Blessed evening, brothers and sisters.
Welcome to the Afro-Trinidadian View, episode 11. Right?
Episode 11 already?
Episode
So,
11.
how we start,
Yep.
must say, you can't leave the house without it. You want to get them now find some face covered by mask by Ogunwumi. Yeah.
Dashiki by the Nubian Experience. This Baba don't take one. Warning, unless you this Baba don't take one. Swagg apparel.
Yep.
And the man himself, Nubian Experience. This is Sulé Joseph of Sulé Joseph and Associates.
Blessings all.
Right, our resident psychologist for the evening. So the topic tonight, folks, is mental health in the Afro-Trinidadian community. Right, it's a very sensitive topic. It is almost taboo in some houses,
In most
African houses, it's taboo. So, it is important for something like, is a topic that we've been meaning to discuss, and we finally got the opportunity to because Sulé has made himself available to us. So, I'm
really glad that we have a professional.
Yeah.
Because in the African community, most of us don't like to take telling, take advice, take talk from somebody who don't have a piece of paper. And there's something we have discussed many times. The need for addressing, first acknowledging that we have serious mental health issues in the communities, right? Which the professional will go into a little more, because one of the things I wanted to elaborate on for us in as simple a way as possible is what exactly do we consider as mental health?
And that's how we have to start. You have to start with the definition of what is it.
Right. And the idea again behind the Afro-Trinidadian View was to discuss issues that has affect our African community in Trinidad and Tobago, and then offer a solution. I want to say this, I don't think I ever say it here. I'm not saying that the solutions we're offering will work. But I'm saying we're going to try something different. We can't be quoting Mark Twain all the time. That the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So we're here to discuss some of these issues, some of these things that we see as problems in the community, and then offer a solution.
All right, so Sulé.
Well, I want to jump up back on that one time and say this. One of the things I've noticed about us as a people is that we spend a lot of time complaining about the systems and things that are and doing very little about it.
Yeah.
So it's unfair, the system, and the white man had this, and Syrian had that, and East Indian had businesses, and we don't have nothing. So then what are we doing about it?
Yeah.
And I've been advocating for a very long time for us to be solution oriented. Even conversation is okay if you want to argue, quarrel, and so on about the system, but it can't be that alone. The conversation has to focus on solution. So when you're inviting me to come and have conversations about solutions, that's the way I ain't that.
Yeah.
Because it must be solutions now. But one time, it must be solution oriented, because we as a people to move forward, there are solutions.
Correct.
Where we are, while other ethnic groups may not have been in the exact position, they would have been in positions of loss and positions of lack of economic opportunities and things like that. They would have made decisions as a people. And one of the things that we have not done is that we have not made decisions as a fractured level.
Yes.
Syrians have no issue being called Syrians.
Correct.
East Indian people have no problem being called East Indians.
You understand?
But when you tell somebody there's an Afro-Trinidadian, I'm from Africa,
I'm from
Trinidad. So we do worry people who have problems with where we come from. So even identifying who we are, there's a psychosis with that mentally. You have a mental block to identifying and becoming one. That is an issue.
You know what I want to add to experienced that more than once, right?
Yeah.
It's like Trini. But you know, most of the time you ask them what it means to be a Trini, they have no definition for that either.
Nah. But there's no space. Okay. I might say something that you should have really controversial. I might say several things.
But we know that's a tip, bro. Go ahead.
One of the things that I liked about Satmaraj, right? God rest his soul, is as much as he was outwardly a person who didn't seem to appreciate or like people of my skin tone and color. One, he was open with it. I prefer my racist open.
Yeah.
Be upfront with me. I can respect that. I have no problem. You have a right to know like me if you don't want to. If you don't want to,
Correct.
just let me know. I know how to operate.
Yeah.
If to support your business, not to support your business, what to do with my dollar?
That's
no
right.
problem.
That's
You
right.
be open. Be open.
Yeah.
I respect that. I can
Right.
respect you for that.
Right.
You're open with your views. The other thing is that he had said something that never left me. It stays with me to this day. And he said, they want in an interview with us, he was saying they want Africans and Indians to mix. He said if Indians have their language, they have a specific culture, they have all of these cultural practices, what they're mixing it with. So what we bring into the table, and then I stop and I thought about first and effects.
Yeah.
And then I stopped and I thought about it. And he had a point. What are we bringing? Pan and whining? Powder and neck and gold chain?
Oh shit.
What are we bringing? What are we bringing culture to the discourse?
Yes.
So they are bringing culture, they're bringing a language. What is our language? What language are we bringing? Slang?
English.
So what we bring in? So what is our cultural heritage? What cultural heritage we bring into the fore? What dress? What language?
Yeah.
What you know?
What tradition?
What traditions?
Yeah.
What food, what spirituality.
What spirituality? Because we have that.
They do.
And so if you're asking them to water down theirs and to mix it with something, what are they mixing it with?
What we getting involved in, you know?
And you're right, because if you have something you value, and you're asking me now to come, so I ask them, right, but come and join my business, right? Join the businesses together. Your business has structure, you want to know what going on with my business. You know?
That's important. That's important.
So you say something there that I can't let it escape at all. That you see that they come to the table with culture, and I always say to you, I like to quote Dr. Marimba Annie, a great African woman that has dealt with these issues. Your culture is your immune system, and without it, you're sick.
Your laws can't function.
And we don't bring culture to the table. We have said this in discussion more than once. Culture respects culture. I have dealt with people that other people around me tell me real racist, don't go by them, don't deal with them. And if I didn't know better, would have never known people think that those people are racist. Because I make sure that when they see me, they see someone with some sort of pride in his African self. Right? But before we go any further, I wanted to give us
A
definition of mental health and also how the professional looks at mental illness. What is mental illness?
Alright, so let's start with mental health. And there's a misconception with mental health.
Right.
Trinidad, and particularly among the Afro-Trinidadian community. Right? Mental health is a spectrum. And by spectrum, that's a big word to say it's a big range. Right? Think of it from maybe descending to ascending or ascending to descending, but it's a range.
Right.
And mental health actually doesn't just mean the crazy uncle you have or the aunt who just trip off. And you know that's because when we talk about mental health, that's what we think about it. Mental health has to do with everybody. You, me, everybody.
Yeah.
It is essentially about your functioning. It is health, just like how you have physical health.
Right.
And so everybody considers their physical health. If you're coughing, if you're getting sick, if you have the cold, but COVID going around now, so everybody considers washing your hands and so on. Right. Consider, when you talk about mental health, the welfare of your mental self, your emotions, the things you can't touch, how your brain processes things in day-to-day activities, all of that. That's your mental health.
Right.
So it is not, so it covers the entire spectrum. From what you might consider to be crazy and insane to the mentally well.
Yeah.
But all of that is your mental health.
Right.
Because you might have a very... Right.
I'm going to be at 2.
So you might study, you have a stressful day. You went to work at a real stressful day. And you tell yourself, you're going on, but I'm going to buy Karen in the barbershop and talk some shoppiness, then come here and take a mark. That now is you are putting things in place to help build your mental health because you have recognized you're not in a low space today. Right. And that is mental health. Now, you're a regular average Joe, you may not have a mental illness, which we'll get to. But your mental health is how you function mentally on that spectrum. Right. And so we all have issues of mental health to deal with daily. And what will happen is if you don't deal with your mental health or treat it well, you end up with mental illness, just like your body. You don't deal with your body well, you end up with some kind of illness. Yeah. Right? You don't take your vitamins, you don't eat properly, you don't do this, you don't sleep, whatever. You pick up a mirror, yes. You don't take care of your mental health. You keep pushing yourself. You're in an abusive relationship. You have all these other issues you're dealing with. Maybe stresses, family stress. You lost your job. All of these things. Those things are what we consider to be mental health. And if we don't monitor those things and we look after them, what will happen is you'll get sick. Anybody, so it's not that person crazy boy. But anybody can get pushed up. I don't know how many of us ever watched this movie, Joker, the recent one that came out. Yeah. And now, well, he was predisposed genetically to mental illness. Right, he was predisposed. Right. However, if you watch the movie, you'll see it was a gradual descent.
Yes, into total madness. Into insanity.
Right. It was a gradual descent. And it was everyday factors was just continuously pushing at me. Pushing. And that's everybody. Anybody. You can have, I remember there was some years ago, social media erupted with some pictures of this woman looking like a real normal looking woman walking naked on Rice Road or Charlie Road was there. Walking naked and the woman just throwing her hands up in the air, she comes out and she just started taking all her clothes and started
Rice Road, was
Rice Road. And when we heard the story, I said, sometime I heard her say, that someone that woman get pushed to her last and she just had a children. That could be any one of us. Anybody. You don't take care of your mental health. You don't look after it. It's with a pushback. Yeah. There's a limit. I talk to my clients all the time about considering your mental health like an ATM. And there's only so much you can withdraw from it before you have it without putting back money. And so putting in, you have to put in to be able to withdraw. Right. And the things that you do daily, they are stressors that withdraw from you. I call them your bank fees.
I like that.
Your bank fees. Right. No matter what you do, you don't have to think about it, your bank fees take out of it. So things like rent, your landlord is a jackass brat. I'm trying to come up with creative words. Right? You know, things that take from you emotionally, daily, withdrawals. Right. If you're not putting back in at your mental health, if you're not taking care of that, you're not putting things back in, you're not doing things you like and you enjoy, art, relaxing, watching a movie, spending time with a significant other, whatever it is that puts back, tops up your emotional bank, you'll continue withdrawing to the point you get to zero. Now here's how society exists. Society exists right now. You're a society that likes to lend. You might borrow. So you might borrow, you reach zero, and you're nothing. You feel like, oh God, I'm nothing. You go borrow, and here's the borrow. In the Afro-Trinidadian community, borrow is you reach out to a family member and they will tell you, boy, you're back broad. Tell me right up. Everything. You studying that, you want this young man to up in a bed, a big man like you. When God tell you what you have to do for your family. You must have whatever strength you have. And that's borrowing money. That's a loan you take there. Right. At some point, that loan going to run out. and you're going to be the slightest thing when you hit zeros on your account, you'll trip. And so you'll hear, he's a madman or what? Because of everybody in the building, slam the door, throw down the things and walk out.
Yeah.
He mad. But I know he was a quiet fella for years, he cool.
I'm a real cool boy.
And you know, homeboy was batting on zero.
Yeah.
Take out a loan, take out a loan. The loan and all now expired, lose that money. Emotionally, you have nothing. Yeah. And so, that is where we descend now into issues of where we have mental illness and manufactured by our social surroundings and the issues that are going on. Yeah. And you have people who are also predisposed to mental illness. And when we talk about mental illness, it's just one end of the spectrum in mental health. Right. And of course, just like physical illness, mental illness just suggests that emotionally, you're not functioning quite right. There might be something that might be off. Right. Yeah, people talk things like bipolar, schizophrenia, mood disorders,
anger.
Right? Anger, I wouldn't consider anger to be a mental illness. Right. But anger, especially, I'm going to make it sound as though I'm targeting black community here, but that's what we're talking about. Even especially in the Afro-Trinidadian community, males, we have not been taught how to deal with our emotions. And the only emotion that we have been taught that is acceptable to express whatever hurt or feelings inside is anger. Yeah. So when we hurt, we angry. When we sad, we angry. Yeah. When the only other thing I can do is happy. Is either happy or angry. Yeah, correct. So we have now been trained to the only emotion that is acceptable outside of that is anger. Right. So anger is not necessarily, I would say, a mental health issue, but it is a mental health issue, but it's not a mental illness issue, sorry. Okay, good. It's an issue of mental health where we have been taught to not utilize or develop skills of emotional intelligence. Especially the men. And I know people going and come and tell me, stop talking about slavery, but we can't have this conversation without talking about slavery.
Yeah, but that was one of my questions. One of my questions.
So I will leave it. I will jump into it one time and I will get to that. Trade back, but we can't have this conversation without getting to slavery because that has played a significant part.
So let me ask this now. Being that you're a professional in the field, in terms of where you see children, you see African people bringing children to get counseling and things like that, or is that something that you want to see more? Because I mean, we know based on some of the communities, some of the stories we would hear, some of the horror stories. I mean, sometimes you're home and you're listening to one neighbor talking to a child and how children interacting and speaking to one another. You think that counseling is something that we should look into more as a people?
Alright, so let us answer that by saying, first, qualifying it and saying that I am a counseling psychologist. So there are different types of psychologists, and I am a counseling psychologist. So I specialize specifically in counseling. Right. And even within that sphere of counseling, I have 3 areas of specific specialization. Right. So I specialize in child therapy with my children, marriage and family therapy, and community therapy. So working with communities and deconstructing trauma and taking communities and that kind of thing.
So you had everything? News to me.
Yeah. Alright? Yeah. So, to answer that question, boy, the bulk of my clients, even though we in Trinidad, one are not male, and the males that I do see usually are of mixed descent, and it's usually at the point of real far down the so when flower one and water, probably police don't hold them once already or talk to them and the real far down the road. Right. Probably well down the hole of addiction to marijuana or some other problem while in school, those type of things. That's when parents say, alright, but things are there. You know,
Let me see somebody.
yeah.
Let me see somebody.
Whereas for me, I have clients of other ethnic persuasion as well, and they generally don't necessarily come when things reach so bad.
Sure.
So when they start to recognize that they have issues and things getting a little out of hand and control and things, they are more proactive in reaching out for that type of assistance. It makes it easier. I don't say easier, but it kind of does. It kind of does make it easier to nip it in the bud then, because if you don't trauma early.
Yeah.
Early. So when we waiting until flower more than water.
I want to tie back in that. So we wanted to go to, and then you tell me if you agree. Isn't that things like the fact that we're so behind in every sphere of life as African people, especially financially, why we would even, before we even think about going to a psychologist, we would think that is not something we could afford. Or we would think things like, it's only rich people that do them thing. Or only a certain kind of people that do them thing.
But in me talking to Sulé recently, when he come to Mark, I asked him, I said, so what is the average cost? Because I alone, when I do my anger management partner, I get it for free. To work, right? I mean, I'll pay for it, of course, but to work.
Right.
But they pay for it. But ultimately, I didn't know what the cost was. I had 5 free sessions. I only used 3. So I asked him direct. I said, well, tell me, how much it will cost. And I personally was shocked by the price, because I was like, well, I can handle that. And if it doesn't get to that, I can.
Prices vary.
Well, I understand that.
Prices vary. Now, one of the things for me, and the other day I got a client who came back to me, and they were saying, but your price is still this price, because this was a client, probably the earliest when I started maybe 10 years ago or something, came back to me for.
So how long are you in this field now?
12 years.
Like a young fella to be now, friends.
No, but I don't know where I wanted to go early.
Okay.
I know I wanted to go early.
All of that we want to keep reiterating to the African parents now, expose your children to something, find something a child like, ask them what they like, and because I mean, you look like we age or younger, and you're a psychologist, 12 practicing. I mean, how long it take a study for that?
But I feel like I'm children of Alright. So here's the thing. And I'll give you a background on how I got into the full streets.
Right.
I gave a lot of trouble.
Right.
I was lost in secondary school. I was lost. I don't know what I was to do myself. And again, my father's understanding of being a father was to provide.
That's it.
And so I get up in the morning and he's gone because he's going to work. I go into bed and he will show me up because he working. He looking to build an empire, he looking to
leave something for you.
Right. So he want to provide. Now, as I am older now, I understand where his head was at. But as a child, I think we as children,
we could not appreciate
because
we wanted that presence from the father.
Correct. So I tell a story all the time and people just laugh at me at something, and my spin brought I got a child share here too. When I was in preschool, I could have been in preschool, I was in UB prep. I discovered that men don't pee sitting on the toilet. That's how I figured out. And you in preschool. I in preschool, everybody going to pee until I sit on the toilet to pee. And I see people stand up and say, oh, you can do that? I come back home, I say, Mommy, I see people stand up and peeing until they never taught that they need to teach me, but the only person I see peeing is my mother. My father not home for that.
Right.
So, and they never taught me anything. I just see my mother playing, and that's how I said, look, yeah. So I remember I was astonished. I said, but you could stamp and pee? That was mind blowing to me.
So just add that to other life things that
And so I am saying that is a funny story, but take that and multiply it by other developmental things.
Yeah.
How do you then learn to be? How you learn emotional intelligence? Because that's something you learn.
Yeah.
It's not taught. It's not just you're not born being emotionally intelligent. You're not born knowing how to take care of your mental health. You're not born knowing how to take care of your physical health. Those are things you learn.
Sure.
They don't teach it in school. So then how you learn it? You learn it from your parents. You learn it through modeling behavior, to observation. And if your parents don't know it, or your parents don't teach you, how you learn it? So what we have is a system where we don't recognize necessarily the value of the high priority value of mental health, taking on young boys, girls, or children to seek mental health professionals, because the truth is, just as you'll take your daughter to the doctor at a certain age, probably when she starts seeing menstrual cycle and so on, at some point, at some age, especially if your boys don't have the father in their life, you should take them to see a mental health professional.
Sure.
Don't wait until
things bad.
Yeah. Because once you find out in your life, there are psychological issues. I'm asking and telling you.
Yeah.
There are issues. Because even if he grows up without being, going down the wrong ladder, you now have a boy who may think it is okay for a father not to be in life. So you know might have a son who might go and continue the cycle. Get some young girl pregnant or some young girl pregnant and figure it's okay not to be around and send money. I got fines. I got fines on my father. So parents need to take that more seriously. As a community, we need to do that. We need to recognize that our mental health is important as a collective, as a group, as a community.
I agree. And that's one of the reasons why, because there's the 11th episode, right? But we actually almost started on this episode. I'm glad we didn't. Because I remember I met him the other day, and he told me, I said, you need to talk to the brother, and because not having a father around, or having a father, which I sometimes equate as the same thing, who are wrong but not around because they're working a lot and everything. How do you explain to young African men who want to be good fathers, but just as you say, their idea of a good father is waking up in the morning, go to work, but you really see the children, really doing nothing with the children. And as an adult, I understand and appreciate how important it is to build memories. Always get that across to these children. To these, not children, sorry, to these young men who become fathers, but caught in that same cycle.
Whew.
We are happy for that one, boy.
Alright, so there's a we have systems, and as I said, I'm gonna bring some controversy to your program. There are systems that currently exist within the black community. It does not make any sense to break down these systems and try to reinvent and break new ones. But we can take the same systems and help alter it and better it. Right. In the communities that need more love, and the communities, and those are the communities that they call they like to call them the high risk. I don't want to call them high risk. I don't call them high risk. I call them communities that need more love. Right? So the communities that need more love, more attention, the more love communities, they have their own structure in place already. There's the community leader. You have a hierarchy under the community leader, and then you have the average person, the average Joe, and so on. When something happens in those areas, they don't go to the police. You go to a community leader. You say, look, somebody just breaking into the house and take the thing. The teacher and her laugh. Community leader will say, all right, we will solve it. They had no justice. So that don't trust them, all of this in place. Now, this is not me saying that I am endorsing theories or whatever, but it is a system that we currently have in place. So within our more love communities, we have returned to a more traditional village stripe setting, and our own, we have our own governance structure and our own reporting and our own, all of that. These people who are usually the community leaders, as much as they want to make a dollar and so on at the end of the day, so all of these communal things that come out of it is usually just about making a dollar. But they are also the same ones when they recognize a young man had potential and think, wait a man, slap it this year, sitting normally pavement meeting there. right? Yeah, because they don't say, "Well, you go to school, you better than us, you will make it," right? So I am saying, if we utilize the structures that exist, and we get these brothers to be able to, we get them to be able to pull out the youth and get them to come and sit down and have conversations, and it don't have to be nothing where formal, where we set up in a community center and chairs and drinks and because it's in that. Yeah. It could be a case of beers, fellas sit down in a circle, right? Blah, and we sit down and we educating brothers and we having a conversation like how we having here. Right. And we saying, "Hey, what's going on? You want to be better than the next. Every generation had to be better than the next. We don't expect you to be perfect. Right? Because it's hard for, I know it will be hard for you to show love since you have not been shown love.
Yes.
And love is taught also. So you can feel it, but you're showing off love is taught.
Facts.
So you can't tell me you love me, but not you can't. But people tell you love you all the time with all the actions. You can feel it. Yeah. But if you're showing love, that has to be taught. That's something you got to learn how to show love. Yeah. And we don't know how to show love. The only way we show love is with sex. Yeah. So if you love me, you'll give me the thing. If I love you, I'll give you the thing. Yeah. That love. That love, yeah. That's what we do. Yeah. So our concept of love and you know that stems from a certain place, eh? Well, we go in it. Yeah. So might as well just go in, or you might as well just go. Our concept of love is very transactionary. So if you care about me, you'll give me something. Yes. If you love me, you'll give me. So if you love me, as a woman, if you love me, you'll give me the yam. Right. And I will give you the money. And I go, no, that's it. If I love you and you want to get your hair take down, I don't get anybody. Bundles, yeah. You understand? It don't matter where I get the money from. So if I don't want to stress the next man to get the money, if I have to, you know what I mean? Yo, my single, you need your hair done, you need to. I don't want to source the money. It doesn't matter what day. Right. And that's sort of, you know what I mean? So now you going out there and you just stressing people because you have your bills to pay. Fast. Right? And that's for you. That's how you show love. You just stressing people out there now. And you're not recognizing and distressing people. That is not how you show love. Right? So you're distressing people to show love to somebody through a transactionary kind of arrangement. And that is how we are taught to show love. That's something that has to be broken. We can't break it from, you can't put that on TV because we're not watching that. Correct. You can't teach us in school because we want of us who need to learn it in school. We're not in class. Yeah. We have to meet us on where we at. On the ground. Outside there.
Case of beers, we sit down, we talk, we bubble our pot. Because I tell people, one of the things that happened with COVID was linemen come back. Not linemen, that garbage thing that we want to go down on the avenue and flash and flam. No. Proper line.
Bubble our pot and...
You understand?
Fellowship.
Yeah. Again, because I realized that we never see the importance, even though we was getting it and had it, the importance of coming together and lying. When my partner said we laughing when my partner just gave license, started renting cars. Fellas them come remind me 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning. They don't sleep out. 5 o'clock in the morning, them calling me because they went somewhere and they go back down here, so but there's always 5, 6, 7 hours and stand up and talk and it's hours, you know. But we really break skin from, but let me go there. Yeah. Because I have some friends and some family that for the life of them, they don't want to accept that what happened to us yesterday, and when I say yesterday, I mean during slavery, is directly responsible for a great percentage of the way we just live, the way we just allow people to treat us, the way we just treat one another. We directly responsible. Right? And it's not something we ever break here on this program. But I wanted me to get in. So, you know the mental health, I like the breakdowns they gave the analogies. Right? But let me hear you. I will say some more, but let me hear you on your direct relation and correlation to mental health, African people. Yeah.
I understand that people think differently. So what I like to do is I like to make things as basic as possible and give examples for people to relate, relatable so you can understand it from that perspective. Right? In any social science, we learn from very, very early an approach called systems theory. And in systems theory, it just talks about for a person to be whole, a holistic individual, your personality, all of that, you are influenced by multiple systems. Those systems will be things like your family, church, school, what school you went to, the community you grew up in, your culture, all of those various systems that contribute to you as a person and who you become. Now I want you to imagine this. All of these systems formulate a person, and not just a person, but what is supposed to be construed as a socially accepted and normally functioning person. I would like you to remove culture from that equation, from systems theory. I want you to remove identity from that equation, from the systems theory. I want you to replace self-acceptance with self-hatred in that equation. Now, if you get what I'm telling you, to formulate this holistic person, they give you a recipe.
But then for African people, some of that was removed.
Missing.
And in some cases, something else was.
Other ingredients. So you take other ingredients that are not supposed to be in part of the recipe and you put it in. The key ingredients that formulate this holistic, proper functioning person, you remove that. How could people now say that back then don't impact upon us now? Because the culture has been removed, it's still removed. What's the culture? What tribe are you from? What language are you supposed to speak? So that brings me right back to what Satnarat was saying, and it is accurate. You're asking the East Indian community to come down and join and be part of the Afro-Trinidadian community and experience. What we bring into the table? What language? What cultural expression?
What spirituality?
Because a big part of who you are as a person is how you connect with your creator. That is a big part of who you are as a person. That's a huge part of your identity. Because remember what we're talking about identity here. Every religion believes that somehow that their creator would have shaped them in their image. But something wrong because my eyes not blue, my nose not straight, and my hair not straight neither.
So Sulé, and I understand why you were saying that, it will be controversial. With these two words, I said that are controversial. But of course I understand to some people listening, it might be. The reality is, even though a lot of us can't deal with it, is that if you want to use the words like image and likeness, then we have a serious psychological problem as African people. Because we are the only people on the face of this planet that do have a God that looks like us. And from listening to, I don't know if you have ever come across African scholars like Dr. Yosef Benyakonen, Amos, who was a psychologist. I would love for us to have a conversation later on after you have taken some of his books or read some of his books. His most influential was A Blueprint for Black Power. Right? And we looked at it as spiritual and moral compass. But how do we establish ourselves when after we trying to do what we're doing here, you come back inside and you say, God. And the being that you're looking at as God, to thank for with them brothers and them they say to them makes so much sense. Don't look anything like you. I say it affects your psychological dealings, your everyday dealings in life. Next thing that I think we do want to accept is that you say we deal with systems, right? This system that we're currently under was not designed for us for the benefit of us, right? So I see people like you as absolutely necessary.
Why?
Absolutely necessary. Because he's a young African man in a field that we don't even hear about. I remember doing a degree in occupational health and safety. And the first semester, I was called it semester.
Yeah, first semester.
Psychology is one of the things I do. But I want to tell you something, our dark class hot every Tuesday evening. Hot. Because some of the things they're saying, right? And the lady actually said to me that you know how much black people involved in this. You know? So I say, I appreciate you. I think you need it.
There's something you said, There's something you said before we get to, and I forget and we get too far down the line. I was going to introduce her to, and I hope that, well, your guys can check it out, and your viewers, you all check it out, because I always encourage people, don't listen to what I say because somebody say I'm a professional. Check it out. Read and research for yourself. Our problem as a people, we don't like to read. Go and read, check it out. You said something about what happens when we speak here, even if we have an open educated conversation and we talk about solutions. What happens when you go back home and the person that you're praying to don't look like you? Well, in psychology, there's something that we call cognitive dissonance. And so people need to go and check that out, cognitive dissonance, where it doesn't compute in your mind. Something just didn't register incorrect. So even if when you look in the mirror and you don't consciously make decisions to hate yourself, based on how your mind works and what you keep pushing and pumping into your mind, you might find yourself always having some issue. They look like a good mark here. You find your lips too big. You find it. So now, some of the Eurocentric values of self-concept and structure and so on, you will find seeping into your psychology and your mentality and so on, subconsciously.
Well, you say seeping and just by the way you break down that day, which we know, but just by the way you break it down there, we have a lot of people, of course, plenty of us would not want to admit it out loud. But we have a lot of self-hating African people in Trinidad and Tobago. Based on what I do for a living, I sell African and African-inspired clothing that has a lot of symbols on them, which is what I started by doing. Symbols with the names and the meanings, and then I started into my own designs. And watch for now. The hardest thing I ever tried to do in my life, boy. But at the time, I started the business based on what I wanted. You know? And I say to people, I tell them all that, honestly, I don't know if given the chance to do it all over again, if I be real honest, I might do it, you know, but I don't think I will rush in thing like, you know, like how I rush in and and with the kind of, because the self-hatred among African people is real. We deny that. And we actually fight people that are trying to show that how that self-hatred will show how it benefits other people and how it is disadvantageous. We fight them people.
So what we have there is that we have developed our psychosis. Sounds again like a big word, or you can go and check it out, right? And that is why, and I'm talking here about the psychosis, and I'm going to link it to slavery, right? Because that's why I can't understand why people don't see the connection. Now, a psychosis is a separation from reality, where you now believe that you may have beliefs that go contrary to whatever the current reality of existence might be. So you might have a violent psychosis where you just you think that everybody on your case and think you're paranoid, and the response to the paranoia is to attack everybody. Now, as a black group, as Afro-Trinidadians, there's a psychosis of self-hate and self-distancing. What we see in ourselves and what we consider to be beauty is a very Eurocentric structure of beauty. And you can't, that's not how we designed. We're not designed to look like European. So what we have now is us hating ourselves. And the funny thing about that psychosis is, while we try harder to look like them, currently, they're trying to look like us. So they put in anything to make your bottom bigger, get yourself hips, collagen to fill the lips.
They're standing.
So I say, they're making you hate yourself as black as a black woman.
And they transform it.
And they transform it into you.
Yeah.
That had to be the biggest
Dr. John Henry Clark used to say that like this. He said, we are imitating imitators.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct.
I had to explain that to my daughter.
Correct.
I've been having to explain that to her. I had to show her people like Lil Kim, people like Stacey Dash, who was beautiful African women
I think
and trying to convert themselves to Euro.
Yeah.
You understand?
I'm
And
sure,
fail.
just today it come up and I saved the picture.
Yeah.
Picture of Michael Jackson. He looked like about 16 or 17. Good looking black man.
Black Mike.
Black man, good looking black man. You can see that's a brother.
Yeah.
You know, what has happened along the way
Yeah. That caused him
that caused him to do that. I mean, and Michael Jackson has transitioned.
Right.
But we still have people alive like Sammy Sosa.
Yeah.
That was black and beautiful and one of the best baseballers of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But look at them today. We have Vibes Cartel, who so much of young African people idolize.
Yeah.
But you going far. You going real far. I go hot up on the show even further.
Oh God. I know what you were say.
Hot up on the show further. You might have to cut out this piece.
Nah, you got to know nothing. Who don't
Right.
vex, brother, or they tune into something else.
People used to say all kind of things about this woman. And I say, with fire bomb on her.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful black empress and she could have said Patricia Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I know, Patricia Ross, bottom bigger, breast bigger, and she's about 3 shades lighter.
Mm-hmm. She's
You understand?
almost red now.
So I am saying, I said, but to
Right.
me, if one don't see the value in Patricia Ross just by her own talent, by her talent alone,
Yeah.
fire bomb on it.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a community, we have to come together and say, we support her for right now. I don't care what shit she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
I support her because I don't like her.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Because of the color she's skin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we don't do that. So for people to feel as though they have to become successful, they now feel as though they have
that's
to change
exactly
it
what
and
I'm
fit
going
and
to
suit.
say.
Yeah.
That you're
To fit a
changing.
mold. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I am somebody singing and dancing, so like, yo, you don't need to do that. Who just are watching recently but saying,
Neither.
huh?
Neither.
Well, not really, because she probably starts so like about somebody are watching, I'll get the name, you know, and I'm saying, you don't need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, somebody make a comment at the inauguration, the US presidential inauguration. I don't like to talk about them things because I don't back none of them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's considered Michelle Obama.
Mm-hmm.
They say, look how she break the internet.
Oh yes.
And you could have only see she eyes.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro.
And I really hope
Yeah.
that young African women all over the world
Saw it.
saw that and understood that you don't need to be shaking your ass.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to be half
Naked,
dressed.
yeah.
You understand? To be beautiful, to make man stand up and like,
Yeah.
what's that darky now, boy? You know? Yeah, you don't need that now. Because when we look at people like Lil Kim and Foxy Brown and all of them, the guys what the world push them to do.
To do, yeah.
You understand?
Facts, yeah.
As they could have.
Yeah,
As they could have. You watch that plenty, they run away from it, you never see them again, you never hear them again.
Yeah.
You know the thing that make the kind of money that they need, whatever, and they go on now. But they, and you're correct. Yeah, we're correct. For me, we're correct with. We're supposed to support them in such a way. It all goes back to our second or third episode, supporting yourself, supporting your own. We're supposed to support them in such a way that the industry that forcing them to be that,
Yeah. Must conform.
Must conform.
Must conform.
because talent don't rule anymore.
No.
Let me, I want to bring this to you. My favorite comedian, favorite, and even more so now than when he first started, is a fellow called Dave Chappelle. David Chappelle.
Yeah, man.
That brother's so okay. Anyway, Dave Chappelle recently did a Dave Chappelle did a special recently. Where he said he was going on. When he was young, very young, in his early 20s or whatever, I think it was hard. Comedy Central forced him to sign a contract. He didn't
Yeah,
understand.
see what you do, oh my god.
And in that contract, they said they will take it, they claim his name and his image and his likeness all throughout the universe in perpetuity. Yeah, in contract.
What is
So Dave Chappelle could not use his name. That's why he didn't use his name in any show or any comedy things skit afterwards. Because Comedy Central owned his name, his likeness, and his image throughout the universe in perpetuity. That is ridiculous. And here's what Dave Chappelle did. Dave Chappelle went out to his audience. He said, you audience, you have the power. I am not asking you to boycott Comedy Central. I am telling you to boycott me. Don't watch any of my programs that Comedy Central on Comedy Central show or anybody shows until I tell you to watch it. And the audience respond. Right? I'm talking about
powers, yeah, powers.
But within some months, Comedy Central reach out to the man, apologize, seal up the contract, pay millions, pay the man millions of dollars.
And now he ready to do one for them again.
Yeah, but that we had to do.
So we don't realize that people, right? I did a video recently on Facebook. You all can check it out, where I spoke about this current issue with attacking a woman and marching and so on. I disagree with some people who say, marching doesn't solve things. Marching does. Marching brings people together, the power of the people. But you must have a message and a message that you want to hold who and responsible for what. Right? Marching is very powerful because it brings the people together. Anything that brings our people together is power because we're stronger together than separate. And so I am saying to our people now, we have to come together. We have to realize that we are dividing again remnants of slavery and the psychosis that we have where we hate ourselves. So if you hate yourself, you can't like somebody else who look like you. And you have been taught to hate yourself because you have been taught that your God don't look like you. You have been taught that you are worthless and you don't amount to nothing.
You thought it came from nothing.
You
understand?
Your history, your successes, those things have been removed. When I tell them children, I talk to some youth and so on, and I like to talk to youth from because I originally from Alexa country. So I like to talk to youth in success and things, and when I'm talking to them, I would success, yeah. I mean, so so when I talking to some of the youth out there, I would say, listen, I said, you know about Timbuktu? Where? I said, that's the first place it had a university. The first university in the world was in Timbuktu. I said, what? I said, that's in Africa. I said, we had universities. I said, we taught math. We taught economics. We taught all these different things to people. I said, that is the history you come from. So don't tell me now you can't do maths and you can't do economics. And that's why people, because we teach them that. You know what I mean? And they didn't know. They said, but sir, you for real? I said, yes. Even if you have a struggle with it, don't say it's not for you. Because it came from us. And when you are so lost that you have lost your history, you don't understand that these are things that came from you. You feel disconnected from it. So don't tell me. And then you can't be a whole person. Because the parts that require to be, the systems that require to make you a whole person are removed. So don't tell me that slavery have nothing to do with it and it was 400 years ago because the parts still missing.
And that's why now when you look at the different churches, the different diaspora, the people that searching the hardest is us. And getting lost, seeking salvation. I have a scenario, but if I talk about that here tonight and mash up this place, right? I only get back my son 4 years ago, or 20 years, because of that, right? Where they were searching and seeking salvation and that kind of thing, and end up in a hole. I ain't going into no details, but they end up in a hole under the auspices of religion, right? And when they wake up and they realize that almost 10 years gone, and they start again disconnected now. Because what happening inside of here, it started to vibrate and they realized what it didn't make no sense. Right? And they came back to the family. I talk about total disconnection from the family. Right? And they came back to us. I find that there plenty of more business on this.
No, but that's what people connect.
That's what people connect,
yeah,
right?
People can relate, people know, yeah.
And when they came back, the family was like, we couldn't wait. When I hold my son breasts, after 4 years, now he's 6'3", he's taller than me. And I stand up on a piece of concrete also, and he's still taller than me. The feeling, pal, that I get from him is that he know what went on, but we don't have to talk about it. You understand? So now it's like, it's not a taboo, you know. But we just understand what he went through, and we just agree that we're not going to talk about it again. And I know my role going forward is to correct that. You understand? So I think religion is the place where we have been disconnected the most, right? Because of the fact that the family unit, destabilized. So you have single mothers seeking that to fill that space of the father in the church.
But as he said, right? It's systems.
Yes.
And if your culture is your immune system and you understand that analogy, when it comes to culture and immune system, you understand what your immune system is to your body, right? And we've been removed from we culture. Culture is language, food, dress code. I know people can't see themselves in that shit. I know people who just watch me walking and it's like, yeah, some of them is walking at you, but some of them is like, hey, you know, never to take it away and that shit like that, you know? Because we're so far, imagine it's 2021. This is how far behind we are as a people. All connected back to slavery for the people who like to war and slavery is nothing. We're so far behind as a people that in 2021, it still have the first black this and the first black that. In 2021, we still have, and them telling me, oh, you know, I am not impressed by none of the things in 2021 that is measured by a system that was not created by us, that was created to bend and break us. I am not impressed by the first black this or the first black that based on that system. I'm impressed by
the man wants a bench, right? You want a bench.
No, I'm impressed by the individual. Yeah. Because I mean, to be the first black whoever in something means you work real hard and things. But I can't celebrate it. Just like how today, I cannot celebrate a slave movie. Nah. I can't celebrate this movie, The Butler. Them people say, oh, you go say that. I can never celebrate that movie. This man was a servant in the White House so much years, and I can never celebrate that. But I can celebrate a man who have a shop in the community. And out of that shop, he treats children go to school, and he send them to this and that, and they become something where they build from. I could celebrate that.
Well, boy, you say something there. Again, I think I've been some controversy to the program. Nice one thing. But I'm a controversial man, so I will just deal with it. Yeah. I am one of those people who believe that, let me start by saying, I do not agree with Martin Luther King's entire message. And I feel as though his message was incomplete. And I feel if he lived long enough, he would have realized he needed to change his message.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
You don't have to say nothing.
Go long now, man.
I was bringing controversy because I know people don't like to hear it.
Go long.
The idea that I must force some people to accept me into a system of theirs that they don't want me in. Right? It's a ridiculous
idea. Ridiculous.
I am a Gaviite. So you see people like Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, who say you don't want me in your damn thing, fight about you. Let me go and make my own damn thing.
Okay.
So I have no problem with that. I respect the Maroons in Jamaica because here's what I'm saying. You have your system, no problem. That system is not for me. The system does not respect me, nor does it want me to uplift myself in your system. Your system teaches me to hate myself, to abandon my family, and to be divorced from it. It teaches me to be a stag, and a stag that just impregnates other impregnates other black women and creates more stags. And so I function like an animal and not as a unit, as a family. It teaches me to be divided as a people so that we never come together like a spider web and be solid and strong enough to support the next generation to lift them above us. I am saying in a system like that, in an education system that teaches us to be servants and not to be critical thinkers, we have a problem. We then need to remove ourselves from that system.
Oh, sure.
And so I had a problem with Martin Luther King message. I had an issue, and just today I was talking to a client about that because today I was saying, listen, I am actually not against anybody who don't like black people. I'm not against you. You don't like black people? That's your business?
Yeah. At least I know. Yeah.
You could don't like black people all you want. That's your business. Your business has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
That's your business. But what I prefer to know is if you don't like black people then you don't like me. I don't care if you feel I am different from the rest of black people. If you dislike black people, you dislike me.
Facts.
Right? I ain't into this token bullshit. They don't like black people, they don't like me. And so, if you don't like me, that's okay. The strongest power black people have is their dollar, because black people don't own business, we support businesses. And so if we take control of our dollar, if we take control of our dollar, we take control of the system. We are the consumers.
I say to you, so
keep us divided, but
last night, right? Last night, I am a member of an Orisha organization named Untitled. We celebrated 50 years as an organization, which is a milestone for a black African organization, an African liberation organization, and an African spiritual organization, right? So we have been little fundraisers. Last night we had an event up by Drumline and Chappell Court. So when we finished, I walking on with the two elders, saying, walking on Charlotte Street, saying, we changed the name of Freetown to Belmont. Some people clamoring for it to change back. No. They're trying to get Oxford Street to be renamed Kwame Ture. That is a problem. What? Chinese people and then come and get up arches, lions. Is that lions in China? Just asking.
nice dragons.
Right? It's dragons? Okay. Right? It look like lions to me. Lanterns symbolizing the culture and everything. No. I have no problem with somebody celebrating the culture, but I want to show African people the biasness towards us. Right?
I wouldn't call it biasness, no. Because here's what I would say. I would say that other cultures come to, who could define Chinese people? Who could, bruh?
Right.
Bruh.
Right. When I say biasness, probably is not the right word.
If a Chinese shop don't have whatever they're looking for, they can go without it.
Yes.
But not just that. I have seen for myself.
They can go without
in
it.
Trin City Mall. So two Chinese business next to one another when they enter downstairs, right?
Yeah.
And I remember going in one and I look at these things and take these things as a businessman myself, right? And asking for a pack of plantain chips. And the one where I went by, they sell it more expensive by the one they're selling it to. But they didn't have, and they sent me to the next one. Knowing full well that when I go there and I get it for $2 less, I might never come back later buy.
Yeah, but that's okay. But you go buy it from a next Chinese man.
Right? I'm saying to African people, oh, they can't be so dense. And that's why I say, let me tell you something I have, right? I ask tell people, today we willingly ignorant.
Yeah.
We willingly ignorant. We want to be ignorant because there's plenty. We're so caught up in this lie that have a certain kind of status quo we don't want to go against.
Well, I don't know if it's that we don't want to. So again, I said we have two things: cognitive dissonance, and I think that we have a psychosis. We exist in this reality outside of the reality mentally. So the issue that we have is that, so people may say, but look how long slavery was, and so maybe you have a point in terms of the time frame. So I agree with you there by saying this. Now slavery does still impact us. But there's this thing that it is not your fault if you're born poor. But it's your fault if you die poor. So it's not your fault if you're born into these systems that missing it.
Yeah.
But it's your fault if you do nothing about putting back the systems that missing.
So on that.
So we as a people have to come together to put back the systems. Yeah. So all these conversations we having and so on. And if we bitch and we quarrel and we complain about it, but we do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So on that, right? I want me to close. But I want you today, based on everything that we say here tonight, to close with a solution, an idea that you have as a solution. It don't have to be one, because I know we went on a wide range.
Yeah.
You know, but we try to do that every time. Close with a solution, an idea for a solution.
One of the things I want to suggest, we have successful black businessmen in Trinidad.
Yes, we do.
And I want to suggest that it is the responsibility, but it's your responsibility if you're watching this, if somebody, you know, as a successful black business owner, it's your responsibility to reach out and to teach and to train the next generation. I don't care if it's not just your children. Because we can't see it now as just mine and yours.
Yes.
It has to be ours.
Correct.
And so if Karen says, listen, I'm going out to the community and don't tell me I'm going to do something, it's not going to be big and grand. You can go in the community and do something. I run an NGO called Youth Mobilization Foundation, where I believe young professionals, we've been given a lot. Young professionals have been given a lot in this country, and we should give back.
Right.
And so what we do, so the other day we got 15 devices for students writing SEA and CFP. And we gave all the devices. We made sure, and I give it out to those persons, we give it out in Belmont. And we're going to go to different areas, we're going to continue as much as possible across Trinidad, raise funds. I took out some out of my pocket, we got people to donate some devices. And so as much as possible, we must go into the communities and try to alleviate some of the issues, some of the ignorance. And a little something like that might say to you, you might touch on you might say, boy, things was real dark with me, and I was giving up on. But this man, I didn't know the man from nowhere, boy. This man took me in the pocket and gave me a laptop. So now I make it in this business here. I'm going back and I do and give back to our next youth.
Pay it forward.
And something
Karen
small.
is a big, he's a big on that. Yeah.
A small thing like that could start to create big wealth. So what I'm saying is, as a people, we are disconnected. We hate ourselves, and by extension, we hate each other. And it's a war and a fight down. And I will only fight you because I don't like it. And if your business doing well, I'm not happy for you because I don't like it, and I don't like it because I don't like myself. And I've been taught to dislike myself because my system's missing pieces. And that system missing pieces because of the remnants of what was left from slavery. So it's a whole thing, it's a puzzle. So don't tell me that the puzzle that slavery has nothing to do with it. So what we have to do is to slowly start, because the thing not move overnight. No. Slowly start reintroducing some things. Organizations like yours matter. Because you don't need to have a culture, we need to have a system. For the longest while I tell myself, I need to pick an African language and learn it because I don't know any. I need to show which one. I ain't sure if I come from
so much.
I ain't sure if I come from Yoruba, I ain't sure if I come from Igbo, I ain't sure if I know what tribe. I have no idea.
And then somebody you said tell you where you come from?
Yeah, I'm sure thing
no, I mean here. And then had a place in Trinidad you said it?
I ain't sure.
Because this man who we went by, he said they're going down the place, boy.
You came back?
Yeah. You asked him.
Yeah, we asked.
How do you know? How do you to understand who you are? Right? To know who you are, to understand who you are, is to know how you move forward. It is difficult to move forward if you don't know who you are. You don't have an identity. That's a major piece of the system of who you as a person to be functional and healthy mentally and to function and move forward. Right? Failing that, you need to fill that space with something. And so you're taking somebody else's culture, somebody else's beliefs, somebody else's religion, you're taking all that, and you're going to fill it and put that in the space. So, correct. That we can't move forward with that. So, what I'm suggesting is, just right now, the first step, let's just reach out. Let's reach out. Let's get businesses coming together. Let us support each other's businesses. And then let us give back in the communities. That is the first step. I mean, it requires a lot. But those things are some basic and easy things. It doesn't take you much for you to go back to the school and say, yo, I used to go to school, you know. I get in trouble too, you know. But
this is what we're not.
There's the order. This is the decision I made. You can make that decision too. I will never forget, and I'll close with this. I went into success and I was telling some youth, so what's the best? Imagine this best car you could get. The best. Right? Imagine the best car. I was trying to get them to set goals and so on, and to give them, to ask them to imagine. This is the response I got. So yeah, Tita and rims. A Corolla. I said, imagine the best car you can think about. And I got a Tita on rims. A Corolla. The best car you could. So even in your imagination,
limited.
We are enslaved in our imagination. Even in the imagination, So how can you go out and achieve when even within your imagination you are enslaved? You are blocked from even being able to imagine great things for yourself. I unshackled you and let you roam free and you still keep yourself caged.
Yeah.
Because that is what we have been taught. The current system continues to keep us caged.
That's free syndrome.
Yeah.
Put them in the glass. And they stop jumping beyond the wherever the top of the glass is, they stop flea jumping. But you put them in a glass and then uncork the glass and they jump in right in. Same thing with the elephant, the entire elephant, that baby elephant on that chair.
Yep.
When it get big, it's tying on the chair, not moving from on that chair. They sound like a shaky house.
And that's what the system.
Yeah, that's what
that's
true, yeah.
And that's the psychosis that we deal with. And so that's what I'm saying in closing. This. Do not wait until your children have some major issue, police knocking on your door, and all of these things to come and handle them. Because other groups don't.
Yeah.
We have a feeling that we train our men to don't talk, don't show emotion. We share information, come to the barber shop and talk out your thing.
Yeah.
You have problems, it's a spirit.
Yeah.
It's a spirit, it's the devil. It's the devil. And our parents don't know any better, and that's what they taught us, because that's what they were taught.
That's what they were taught, yeah.
The miseducation through religion. So when they were mistaught and they come and teach us, misteach us, that's what we know.
Yeah. And we teach them each other.
And we teach our children that, and so we continue to pass down shackles. So don't tell me that we so slavery now. It's so entrenched in us, we passing down the shackles.
Correct.
So much so that the children can't imagine a car outside of a theater and a Corolla.
It's fine, man. Good. Yeah, like, what are we for me today?
Oh, yeah. Every time I try to comment one that I know good.
You have any African
So
food?
what I will do is I will actually leave with a recommendation for a lecturer who I mentioned earlier on, Dr. Amos Wilson. And people who watch it and think will leave the name in the description. That based on this topic and what you do as a living as a profession, Dr. Amos Wilson was a revolutionary psychologist. I don't think psychologist is the word. What is it? What is your field exactly?
Me, I'm a counselor psychologist.
Counselor. But along that line, but it was the same thing because you used to work in schools with children and things, but it was very.
Was he a social worker?
Social worker, Black conscious, yeah. Okay. Right? He wrote a few books well. As I say, the most popular one being A Blueprint for Black Power. You know, he did writings on the relations between the way we treat it and the way we act. Those things. So I will leave you with look up Dr. Amos Wilson and some of his books. Yeah.
A saying came to me actually. And the saying is, a single spider cannot contain a lion. But if all the spiders in Africa come together, we can tie down any lion.
Going with that. So, Afro-Trinidadian supporters, fans, well, please share the thing, like it, subscribe, share,
comment, talk to
thing.
we.
Yeah, we want topics. I mean, the topics coming fast and furious. So as always see something happen is because between the last episode and this episode, somebody say, hey, we have to talk about this. So we're talking about it tonight. Right? So folks, we out this episode 11, Sulé. Thanks very much. Right?
Yeah.
I will post his information to his page. You have a page for the business, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Instagram,
Facebook.
Right.
So you all can reach out to me. Guys, this thing is a serious thing. Counseling is not a sickness. People, it is not a sickness.
It's a high from all we are feeling.
Right? It's not a sickness. Take it from me. Right? So, we out. Anje, Orishalashe. Goodness.